And over the years, I've had the conversation with parents who ask me, why is that? Or they look at their own kids who have graduated and abandoned the things of God, and they say, why is this? I don't understand why. And I think there's a couple of reasons. I think that, well, one, there's the Holy Spirit is not going to impress on everyone's heart, and not everyone is going to accept salvation. Some people will completely reject the faith. Some people are going to do that. But I think that for most of us, the practical application of that is we as parents and as the church are not casting a great vision for a godly legacy for the faith. I think we're just not casting a great vision. Maybe what they see is obligation for attendance. Maybe they see a lot of hypocrisy without genuine faith, right? Maybe they see work and not servanthood. There's a lot of things where we can cast a pretty poor vision. We might even be casting the vision that you have to work for your salvation and not know that we're casting that vision. And so what do? They walk away and they find a more exciting vision, a more exciting thing to be a part of. And our students, just like we're saying a minute ago, our student salvation and their personal walk with the Lord is not dependent on us, right? It's not whether we baptize them or not if they're going to get saved. No, baptism is just a symbol of what God has done in their lives. No, their salvation is not dependent on us. We cannot make them love the Lord and serve Him as much as we wish we could, right? But we have to. We have the responsibility to cast a proper vision for the faith that we can then offer them. And they still might resist and turn away. We might do everything as we should. We might cast a stunning vision of the faith. We might be authentic and genuine and make as little mistakes as possible, and we could do everything right. And they could still walk away from the faith because that's between them and the Lord. And that's just like what Israel did. Israel did, right? David cast this great vision for Israel and for Solomon. And Solomon did not walk perfectly with God. The kingdom, Solomon turned from God, worshiped many other gods. He had 1,000 wives and concubines, and he worshiped their gods and set up temples and altars for their gods, and probably engaged in child sacrifice and things like that for those gods. After he had amassed all this wealth and fame and popularity, and he turned his back on God. And what happened? The kingdom was divided in two. The promise of God stayed. The kingdom, the house of David, remained king over Israel, but the kingdom was divided in two because of Solomon's sin, and the people started worshiping golden calves.
Is the house still standing?
It is, and we're going to look at that in a second. That's where God's kingdom, God's promises remain faithful. We'll look at that in just a second. But the responsibility of every parent, teacher, and follower of Christ, whether you're a parent or not, the responsibility of every follower of Christ is to cast the vision for the faith and pray that God will move in that next generation.